Hey guys, Ryan here. Just wanted to take a couple minutes out of my day today here. It's Thanksgiving long weekend in Canada, Thanksgiving Monday here, and I just wanted to quickly reach out to all you guys, talk about some of the things I've been learning lately, and the importance of always challenging yourself both mentally and physically as well. So obviously, if you've been following me, I've been into personal growth for a very, very long time, since my early 20s. I always committed to always be reading something that would challenge me and grow me and kind of expand my my mindset. And I recently picked up a book. It was actually a book recommended for those of you that are into reading. Tools of the Titans by Tim Ferris, which is kind of a compilation of a bunch of interviews Tim has done, interviewing like world-class musicians, artists, health practitioners, investors, business people, and all that. And anyways, I literally got a ton of value out of that book. But what I'll typically do whenever I'm reading a book is, I'll have a journal or a diary or whatever beside me, and anytime there's something that really hits home and resonates with me, I'll write it down. Or what I'll do if there's a book recommendation from that book, I'll write that down to read in the future. And one of the books that he recommends is a book called by Jim Paul called What I Learned Losing $1 Million. So this is actually a real life story. Jim Paul was a guy that grew up in Kentucky and became a multi-millionaire commodities trader, and eventually actually became governor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. But at a relatively young age, he was killing it, making more money than he had ever done. Like he went out, and this was back in the early 80s. Bought a Porsche 911 just because he wanted to, and all this. And kind of tells a story of when things weren't going as great. So he was killing it, and had reached a high level of success at a very young age. But then shit went sideways really, really quickly for him. And long story short, over the span of about a year, on a single trade, he was a commodities trader, on a single soybean trade, he ended up losing $1.5 million, which literally wiped him out completely. He lost all of his possessions. Literally, they were coming into his office and taking his stereo and taking his desk and all of his shelves and everything. Lost everything. Lost his governorship because you can't obviously be bankrupt and have a seat on the mercantile exchange. But within that year, in addition to losing $1.5 million and all of his physical possessions, his dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer. His dad ended up dying within that year. Prior to his dad dying, his mom committed suicide because she couldn't imagine a life without her husband. So he literally lost all of his physical possessions. He lost, both of his parents, all within the span of a year and a half. And, sort of what he learned by that. And one of the biggest things in life is, it's not so much the victories that we learn from. Victories and wins, if you will, are a very poor teacher. Losses is where we learn the most and can gather the most value. And so, it's pretty powerful when you get into the mind of, in this case, Jim Paul, where you get to learn like psychologically what he was going through that entire process, but also, how he picked himself up on the back end. And any really, really successful business person, entrepreneur out there, has gone through these really, really dark times where they questioned, if they had the internal capacity to keep pushing forward and keep moving forward. And, it makes you realize that regardless of what you're going through, and even if your life is awesome right now and you're kicking ass and taking names, there's going to be a point where life hits you hard. Something unexpected happened. A week and a little bit ago, me and Kristen, one of our best friends in the entire world, he was actually supposed to come over, Sunday evening, not yesterday, but a week before, come over and hang out. We hadn't seen him since the birth of our baby girl, and I'm messaging him confirming that he's going to be coming over. For some reason, I'm not getting a response, and I see on Facebook that he unexpectedly passed away. He was hit by a vehicle, died instantly, and so is that's something that obviously was totally unexpected, but it kind of goes to show you that stuff always happens to us, but it's how we react to that stuff that makes the difference. And so kind of reading about what Jim went through, or if anybody here has studied like Richard Branson with Virgin, many times he was almost gonna lose his airline. If you studied Steve Jobs and Apple, there was a very bleak time where it didn't look like Apple was going to make it. Now it's the most valuable company in the world. Elon Musk of Tesla and SpaceX and eBay fame, he at the same time almost lost everything, lost his space exploration company, lost Tesla. That didn't end up happening. Fortunately, some things came into place that allowed him to keep running both those businesses, and now he's uber billionaire and changing a lot of aspects of the world. But realize that things are never as bad as what they may seem at the time. There's always solutions and always a way forward, and it's a reality of life. Things sometimes can be amazing. Things sometimes can be super shitty. But what I find personally is just like studying other successful entrepreneurs that have gone through that super crappy times, and a lot of this stuff is far worse than anything I've personally ever experienced. It makes you realize that it's just about staying in the game and persevering, and getting past that crappiness, but also learning from it. So hopefully you don't just keep on duplicating the same mistakes over and over again. But I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through this book. When I'm done, I'll do another quick Facebook Live here to share some of the stories and some of the lessons I garnered from that book. But if you guys want to share some of the books with me, just pop it in the comments. Something that you've read, or maybe it's not a book, maybe it's a a video, or a podcast or something that you guys have learned a lot from, that generated a lot of value for you guys. Share it with the comments, and would like to just create a great community of people just sharing like what they're doing, what's working for them, what's adding value to their life. And I'll keep on sharing what I'm learning and what I'm studying, and what I'm working on. So cheers, guys. And if you're up here in Canada, hopefully you're having a great Thanksgiving long weekend. Hopefully you're on big dinner 2 or 3, and if you're in the States, happy Columbus Day. Cheers, guys.